The question, if the gift of tongues is real or fake, is a controversial one. There are typically three types of answers to this question. The first would be that they are all fake, everyone that speaks in tongues is faking it. The second answer that I typically hear is none of it is ever fake, it is all from God. And the third answer is, it is demonic. Have you ever wondered how one question could have three completely different answers? As someone who believed in the gifts of the Spirit from a very young age, the answer to this question has always been important to me. And even though I spent many years in a Pentecostal church, the problem of tongues was always there, in the back of my mind. I never felt comfortable speaking in tongues. So I sat through thousands of services, silently. And because I wasn't speaking, I listened. What I noticed was that it was very repetitive. A person speaking would repeat the same words, in the same order, over and over. To me, this seemed extremely odd. And what puzzled me even more was the translation of tongues. Pentecostals believe, if someone speaks out in church, it should be interpreted. This belief comes from 1 Corinthians. I will add a link to the description below. Tongues are normally a few short words or syllables of words, strung together. An example would be, sha, le, aki, la, zo, o, ta. And the person may repeat this a few times. Then another person in the room will interpret this. Somehow these few words can turn into 2 paragraphs of English. Most of the time, there will be no repeating of words in the translation. I also noticed that the majority of words were vowel sounds. I know critics claim that it is not a real language. I do understand how someone could come to that belief. The New Testament does refer to the speaking and translation of a real human language. And I would agree that the tongues spoken in modern churches are not the same thing. They do not appear to be a real human language. But one thing is clear, the people speaking believe it's a real language. But believing something is real doesn't always mean it is. So I spent years talking to Christians from other denominations, researching and reading the Bible, trying to make sense of it all. The conclusions I came to were that most people who answered the question that tongues were demonic were repeating something someone had told them. When I questioned further, to find out why they believe this, they had no specific answer. The idea that demons are causing many of the world's problems is not a new one. People for centuries have believed in demonic possession. I found no evidence that demonic spirits are controlling the bodies of any of the believers. As someone who has watched people speaking in tongues for years, I can assure you that this is not a case of demonic possession. I believe that this point of view comes from a lack of understanding. It is an easy solution to a difficult question. This answer stops any form of communication. The idea that tongues are demonic is based on a belief and nothing more, which makes it almost impossible to defend. So then, is everyone that speaks in tongues faking it? Based on my experience, I would say no, not everyone. Over the past few years, I have noticed many people trying to teach believers how to speak in tongues. There are numerous videos that claim to teach this gift. The real truth is, tongues cannot be taught. It is a gift from God, it is not a skill that can be learned or mastered. Simply repeating words or phrases that are spoken by someone else is not the gift of tongues. There are many who have admitted that because of pressure from those around them, they did fake speaking in tongues. This leads me to believe not everyone is faking tongues, but some are. A scientific study in 2006 concluded that when a person speaks in tongues, the part of the brain that makes people feel in control shuts down. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania took images of 5 women's brains while they were speaking in tongues. They found that the frontal lobes were quiet, and also the language centers of the brain. This is an indication that the person is not in control while speaking in tongues. So if the person is not in control of their own body or mind, then who is? I believe there's only one conclusion that can be made, it's God. Someone or something has to be controlling the person. So, for me, the answer to the question is supernatural. And even if I still do not understand all of it, I do understand that this is the only conclusion I can come to. Please be sure to like, share and subscribe to see further episodes.